let's get cracking. Of course, our main event this past weekend, that's all the games we scheduled to Sunday, was the national team's death in the CHAN qualifier against Swaziland. So let's just get into the nitty-gritties, shall we? Starting lineups that the two coaches made. Now, for Swaziland, they are coached by a Dutch coach, so like many Dutch coaches, 4-3-3 it was. But this one, they played with two defensive midfielders. And for Zambia, we played with a 4-1-3-2 with Cletus Chama playing in the hole, whilst Shonga and Branmuller. This combination has actually proved to be lethal when it comes to COSAFA contests. And leading 4-0 from the first game, Coach Fati, that was the approach. Looks very attacking. Looks like we still want to win. It looks like we still want to kill Swaziland even here at home.
Yeah, it's attacking formation 4-4-2, and the instructions inside this formation is the two midfielders are playing behind each other in the attacking position, and in defense position they build the line, and it's well balanced formation for Zambia. I think the coach is continue building the attacking mentality in his team, heading to the next game against South Africa.
Okay, Dennis, we've qualified, but that was the starting lineup. Faith repaid for Shonga. Before the COSAFA, I'm sure many people would say, Shonga, leading the line, even for the CHAN squad. There was always that fear that the Dev Dackers would come and put him on the bench.
I thought when I watched the game in Swaziland, the one we won, was it 4-0 or 4-1? Shonga was on the bench. We had Martin. Martin Pili is more of number 9. We had to have two attacking strikers, Martin and Muela, Brian, yeah. But this one, Shonga likes dropping down in the midfield to come and look for the ball. He'll go wide, he'll go this side, so meaning you have one striker.
Okay, so that's perhaps one trait that Shonga actually brings to the table. A bit of dynamism in how he can probably play and his match play. Let's just have a look at Zambia's attack and begin to analyze how we finally got 3 goals that made it 7-0 on the day. So let's look at Zambia's attack. But here's the thing, Coach Fati. I look at that one. Swaziland were defending very deep. And you'd have Kondoni Mtonga basically in the own half. And whilst we were attacking, when Swaziland closed shop in that manner, you were having a situation where Zambia was being forced to play back. Or if they are going to penetrate Swaziland, is play direct progressive football, put the ball in the 18 and see what we can do in terms of getting goals.
No, I think from that formation, the 4-4-2, when we're attacking, we try to use the wings, and if he didn't manage to break the instruction, is to drop one pass back like this. He can manage to change from the right to left, and he can do this too many times until he find breakdown inside to make the deep pass. So it depends about either he break from the wings, either he drop to the midfield, and the midfield start making deep pass. And I think the 4 goals, the one it comes in Swaziland, most of them it comes deep pass, and also the second goal for Zambia also it was the same.
Okay, now I'm looking at that one. If you look at that defensive shape, it's like most coaches, most tacticians will say we better have 3 defenders sitting, and this defensive midfielder shouldn't be far off. Whether you're playing with 1, 2, or 2 defensive midfielders, you look at that one, both Kapumbu and Silimba were going up. And what? We didn't respect Swaziland, or they deserved it. We're that good that we could afford to actually play like that against this Swazi team.
Yeah, I thought when I looked at the way we were playing, Kapumbu and Simon, they were all going, and we had one holding midfielder. Meaning, we wanted to. To myself, I was thinking, and I thought maybe we want to impress the fans after how the under 20s performed, because people are all calling for the under 20s. So we wanted to show more of what we can do.
But are you saying it was dangerous to attack like that? And I see some teams now, they're just defending with two. And Kondone Mtonga sometimes would go far off, away from the central defensive pairing and leave space in the hole.
No, I think they already done the finish the Swaziland in Swaziland. They've already done the damage 4-0 there. It means the team is already qualified. You already scored 4 goals away. It means you're already qualified. So the game at home was every player he tried to expose himself, tried to show his capability in the national team, and they know the opponent, how the capacity for the opponent. So there is no threat. So if he go, he knows that player. Even if that player, if the opponent win the ball, they will not be too much dangerous. They will not harm our goalkeeper, or they are not that dangerous. But I think there is too many positive points in this game, and also some negative points. The coach also, his philosophy is to control the emotion of the player inside the ground and to make them tactically disciplined, because also the team, the one is playing in second round, is more tactful. South Africa, the technique is a bit higher than Swaziland. Is very big profile. So I think if you look at the situation,
it's okay.
If we remove the opponent, it's dangerous to go up in like one that. Time. This is why I'm telling you, the coach, he will look at this point and control the emotion for the next game. But if you look at Swaziland, the opponent is a bit weak, and they will already score 1-2 goals. So why not?
Yeah, I'm thinking, just there, Dennis. Yeah. I want to get your thoughts. Yes, if it was a different opponent, perhaps it's club risky business right there. But when you look at it on second thought, is that we're playing progressive football, and for a team that plays progressive football and is playing with a high line at the same time, it is dangerous. That space in behind, imagine you're playing a team with pace, that could be a weakness. And maybe what everyone could be looking at is, maybe we should have played a little bit more of a close game, just to see how tactically adept the team is.
Yeah, I know Coach Wada. I'm sure he saw the dangers that were exposed, because the way we were playing, I was thinking and looking. I thought we won 4-0, and we come home. We still want. It's like we were under pressure to impress the home fans. We have to win more than 4, but it doesn't happen like that.
Now, in terms of keeping the ball, what is your assessment of Zambia keeping the ball? Because want to play direct, and there's no space to maneuver and operate in, because Swaziland are actually closing, getting 4 banks of 4 behind, and all of a sudden there's no space even for Enes Mbewe to show us his space. Augustine Mlenga can't cut in because all those screening runs are being tracked.
I think first half the Swaziland was already, they tried to cover the out from away. So they stretched too much. This is why Zambia, they managed to score 2 goals, because there was a lot of rooms inside the midfield and the defense line in Swaziland. Second half, they know they already lost the game, so they play a bit compact. And Zambia now, they start, most of the time there was position for position, because now they start look more organized in the defense, Swaziland. So under the break, it wasn't the player they doesn't have that habit for breaking the defense line and score more goals. So if you look at the second half, it was Zambia, they control the ball, but most of the time the one to control the ball is position for position. The ball is rotating between the midfield and defense line from the right to left. Even one time we managed to make around 12 passes. At the end we lost the ball in the midfield because it was position for position, no progression for the final third to finish the ball in the back of the net.
Does that worry you when you think about it? Is that we want to go forward, boom, 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 and then right there when we find the gate is closed, we have to go back all the way up to Shamshopa and Zio Tembo.
Yeah, I think what we were doing, I think we made more passes at the back, at the build-up zone. You know, the defense, we made too many passes. We come in the midfield. What I thought was Kratos was almost alone. Kratos was here, Kondwan was here, and the two wide midfielders.
Everyone is going. There's no default position.
No. So I thought it was so difficult. That's why I thought the substitution on Kratos, I think, yeah.
Scratching your beard.
Yes.
Let's discuss Swaziland's defensive configuration. So,
but I want to tell you something.
Yes.
Sorry.
Just before we look at,
I think when the team start, I've seen Coach Nerenda stand sometimes, and he wasn't happy because the team will start when the team start position for position. He sees the players very comfortable in the ball, and they are passing, but there is no progression in the final set. He stand and there was talk about like let's progress, but
Yeah.
I think so. This is the issue of now of tactically discipline, and as a head coach, he's not happy from his team position. It's good. People they see good football, but him as a technician, he knows football is goals, and if you can manage to score 7 goals, 8 goals, why not? So the mentality for keep scoring, it has to be there. But so far, I think it was good game. About the sub, I think this is the decision.
we'll talk about the sub. I want us to discuss the defensive configuration. That's Swaziland's defense. Now, look at this. Again, for a team that's bleeding goals, that looks like decent defensive shape. And it comes back to the point you're raising earlier, where when we find the door is shut, the ball has to come back down to Zio Tembo, the number 19 on the ball, Shamujopa, into Kondwani Mtonga. And there are moments in the game where you would see Kondwani receiving the ball in that position and asking his teammates to actually come down, come short and collect, guys, come short and collect. That wasn't happening. What was happening right there in the head and heart of the players that we've already won, and Swaziland, maybe they are not a tough team. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking when we had the ball like this, it comes back to Zio, goes to Shamjopa, sometimes to Kondwani. I was expecting Justin to come down and Brian to come down, because these other two guys were very wide.
Yeah, so high and wide.
Yeah, high and wide. So if Justin comes down to receive the ball, or Brian comes to receive the ball, just to come and participate, you touch the ball and then you go.
You move them out of position. Now,
Yeah,
Coach Fatih, I'm also thinking, like, I don't know what your belief system is, but if you see your winger receiving the ball high and wide with his back to goal, is that a point of worry?
No, it's when you try to break the defense line for the opponent, it depends about, like what I told you, it depends about the profile down you're playing, the team down in the other side. Because sometimes when you play a big team, don't force. If you force too much, you can lose. So sometimes also you have to, if you can't break, you have to go back and you have to make deep in the defense. The player, you must drop and you change from the right to left and from left to right until you find break down. And also, if the opponent are playing man-to-man, you need a good dribbler like this to unlock that marking. I think Coach Nerinda, he is a tactician, and he also got all these notes for South Africa, because also sometimes as a team, when we marked one-on-one, sometimes our dribbler, if he didn't manage to break his marker, the game continue the same result. That's it.
But I'm now going to bring in what you wanted us to discuss. In your opinion, like 37 minutes on the clock, the substitution board is raised. John Chingandu is summoned into action, and Cletus Chamachota, the hero from the first leg, is sacrificed. What do you think Coach Wada wanted to achieve with that substitution?
Well, I was asking myself as well, what are we trying to achieve? Because we won 4-0. This guy was a hero in the previous game. And it was a like for like substitution. Because John Chingandu comes from the, I think from what I've seen them, both of them, club level, Cletus comes from the right, drifting inside, coming to the midfield. John Chingandu as well. I've never seen them playing in central midfield role. So I was thinking, since we led, I think 4-0, we had no pressure. But I think the pressure that we had is because I said it in the preamble as we were starting the program. The pressure that we had was at the under-20s, the success of the under-20s. So we are so pressured to
So what was it? Giving John Chingandu a run out, or trying to fix something tactical?
I don't know.
Think about it. Let me hear from Coach Fat.
I see number one, the decision for the coach to substitute a player is undiscussionable. You can discuss the decision of the coach when he make a sub. And the coach, when I tell the player go out, he go out. Even after 1 minute from the game, the player must respect, and the coach take a decision. This is don't discuss.
Yeah, you don't go.
It's not for the table.
Yeah.
No,
this is number one. Number two, there is two issues. The way I've seen the sub tactically is not changing the tactic. It's position for position.
Yeah.
Okay, same position.
Like for like.
But he's aiming, the way I feel like, the way he's aiming, he is aiming to increase the pace of the game. He needs the game to be a bit fast, and the team start progressing, scoring more goals. Maybe he feel like Cletus is a bit tired, or he's done big job in Swaziland, and traveling, and also Cletus is not resting with us as a LD. He always play all the games, so maybe he feels like the player is a bit tired. At the same time, we are planning to use the player in the following day in Kabwe. So also look at traveling, and so he think about all these issues, and he said, no, I've already secured the result 1-0. Let me increase the pace of the game to score more goals. So it's okay. There is no harm. There is good relation between the coach and the player. They respect each other. Sometimes things become emotional, but at the end of the day, it's there is good relation between the coach and his player. Is the father and his son, and no third party should interfere.
I think coach. Just.
Did you raise that answer?
No,
Okay.
The Zambian belief, the way it is, if you go away, like Nkwazi goes to play Power Dynamos, we go to Arthur Davis, we beat Power 1-0. When Power comes to Imboira Stadium, our supporters expect us to beat Power Dynamos more than 1-0. So that's what was happening. I'm sure the coach had that in mind. people expecting us to beat Swaziland more than 4.
Yeah, but that's the other question that before we depart from this discussion is Cletus Chama is most of the coaches, Luanda Mina, wherever he has been, he's been played in a wide position, but he's got freedom to come inside. Now, with such a movement comes the little matter of tracking your marker when you are defending or when the team is defending.
When you're off the ball.
When we are off the ball.
He's supposed to mark his player.
How well did he do?
No, Cletus is a joker player, and the joker is the one unlock the defense for the opponent. So usually is 80% attacking, 20% defending. So most of the time we don't give him. He just immediately we lose the ball. Cletus drop to his zone on the right or on the left. Marking is 20%. So sometimes you as a coach you look for a player
who can mark for
who
him.
can mark when he's off the ball, but his function or his capability is not like Cletus. Like he can dribble like Cletus, is not fast, is maybe less, but his marking is good. So also this is style of play, and also depend about the coach what he want to defend now to close. He see too much dangerous from this side, and he need to close, or he need to attack. So he need more attacking player. He doesn't care about when he lose the ball to mark, because the opponent they're attacking from the other side, so there is no harm. So all these issues the coach he think about it.
Now I'm thinking in that game you played with one defensive midfielders, you played with 2 strikers. Who does that?
And that's
because you can't mark 20%.
That's
where?
That's
what does mean 20% marking?
That's where the question comes now, because we are.
Who marks and covers for Cletus?
Yeah, who does that for Cletus? Because Justin can never do that. At Inquas, when we are playing, when we have Justin, we have Stewart, who have Jubel Sakala and Noel Nyerenda. Because we know Noel and Jubel can mark. Justin and Stewart will do nothing. Justin, Stewart, and Jeff Band. We know they can't mark 100% or 50%. They'll mark 70% or 80% tracking back. But attacking very good. So we have to have that curve. But
the man behind
yeah, behind them.
He's supposed to be very strong.
Very strong.
Most of the time, for a second, he have 2 players on him, waiting for the winger or for Cletus, or to come back to cover his zone. Like this, he feel comfortable and start closing with the 2 center back.
Yes,
so in football we call it risk tactic, but it's risk it's calculated. So we knows we need to win the game or we need to defend.
So I'm sure Coach Ward had so much faith. He thought Cletus would be able to do the job. But again, when he made the change for John, it was just the same. Sorry to say this, I didn't see any change. It was just the same.
So someone still needed to mark for John as well?
Yes, still.
The same way someone needed to mark for Cletus when he was on.
Yeah.
Okay, let's now discuss Swaziland in attack. Well, they might have been beaten 7-0, but there were some certain things that we probably need to study from their match play. So let's have a look at Swaziland in attack. Now, this was interesting. For a team that was losing by that cricket scoreline, they were able to play forward, play back, open up spaces, create spaces, and they were really carving us out. Now, when you see how intelligent their Dutch coach is that they would get to those positions and even create a 3v2 in the central areas. You've got their left winger there, you've got the central midfielder and the number 9 versus Kondwani Mtonga. They're able to exchange passes, and if anyone is going to come and rescue Kondwani Mtonga from that situation, is actually going to break the line and create space for one of them to actually exploit. Now, in terms of match play, they would string 10, 11, 12 passes, because they would send the ball back, come back forward, and just wait. And they were patient side. At the end of the day, they were just trying to enjoy some football because it was hard to get goals on the day, Dennis. And it comes back to that issue where we're talking about before the break. Who covers who? Look at John Chingandu there. His recovery is not the greatest naturally, but that 3v2, even if John Chingandu comes into that 3v2 box, they still have a numerical disadvantage, which means Enes Mbewe has to come down, Augustine Mlenga needs to come down. So everyone probably needs to mark, especially in midfield.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about at first when I spoke about Cletus. Same as John. When John Chingandu came in, it was the same. The players, the Swaziland players were running rings around Kondwan. Would go this side, the Bokams this side. They were free. They had enough spaces to play in the midfield. Our midfield was not compact, in short. I don't know if you saw that, Coach. We were not compact. We had a lot of.
See if you look at the function of Swaziland individual, the player, they got no ability to dribble one-on-one. They can play, come front of you, then he make pass. This one, when you come to him, he can't dribble one-on-one.
Square.
He just play square, he play the angle, but they can't dribble one-on-one. They don't have that player to unlock that fence. This is why they lost most of the ball between the midfield and the fence of Zambia. This is how they lost 4-0 in Swaziland. They lost the ball. Our player, they're very skillful, very fast. Player like Cletus, who's managed to dribble 2-3 players to score a goal or to make 1-2 and finish. That is the issue. But that point for the composition, it has. I'm sure they will work on it because they know South Africa, the high profile, the player, they are very skillful. They can play. They play 1-2 very good. They are very fast, penetrating from defense to attack. So
yeah, and perhaps that's what we need to do in the 1v1 situations. Probably some work needs to be done there. Let's look at Swaziland's expansive attack, because when they got the ball, Swaziland were actually making the pitch big. But look at this, Coach Fati, is that whilst they are exchanging those passes, they create a situation where our back four is now becomes centrally compact and we leave some spaces in the wide areas, and the two wingers actually have space to actually maneuver. But again, as we say, that good readers that Swaziland didn't have players that could win 1v1 duels.
Well, I think Coach Watson is very good at organizing defenses. I think if he sees this, or if I'm sure he has something like this, he's going to work on this, because we were so poor when Swaziland were playing in the midfield. We used to leave gaps in the wide areas.
Would get sacked in, but
yeah,
that's what's supposed to happen, or not so? Or how should we press at that point to prevent that from happening?
I think when we're attacking next, I think in South Africa, when he's attacking, will fix that point, because in Swaziland he feel like the Swaziland, they're stretching in the full ground, the full pitch, so there's too many space in between the midfield and the defense line. But South Africa, they're playing compact. So I think also him, when he's attacking with the compact between especially the back right and half right, they have to be very close to each other in the attack and the defense. Like this, they can manage to close the space on the wing, because South Africa, they're playing with this game immediately, and most of the style of play, they play with this game. They depend about the cross, or they reach out on the edge of 18, then they start playing 1-2 inside the box for the player, the one coming running from the midfield and start. This is how. This is their strength. So I think we should. I think he will not stretch the back four too much. He depend about now to be a lot of job for him on the half right and half left to drop fast to cover the space on the.
Yeah,
on the
of course. I'll ask you some final question. In terms of compactness, the one who plays in the hole, the one who plays 8 and probably 10. But let's look at Zambia's pressing in this game against Swaziland, because yes, it also presented something about the habits that players have, especially in the second half. Look at this situation where you have Shonga and Mwila who are actually pressing. As you can see, Swaziland have actually opened up, trying to form lines of pass. But look at what happens in the next line. If Swaziland can win that duo there, they can play the ball into the next line where they've got 4 Swazi players, and our players have gone contracted too deep. And right there, when they try to follow them in that space, it will create a situation where you move, create space, move and create space, and playing the way the opponent actually wants you to play. And I'm thinking this should be of great concern for us, because if we find a team that can actually play on the ball and eliminate our players, that could cost us.
Yeah, not for Zambia national team only, but for most of Zambian teams. We tend to go too much in defense and leave. You know, it's very dangerous for the opponents to get the ball and start facing you, coming, and you start going to press, because you'll be leaving gaps now.
How do you press?
What is the result second half?
0-0 in the
go
second
back to
half.
the same picture.
Yes, let's go back to the same picture.
Go back to the same picture.
Let's go back to the same picture and just have a look.
How many, the red team is Swaziland. How many red players on the half?
We've got 6.
6 players. How many strikers you have?
2.
How many players in your half?
Well,
8.
8.
So, if this, how many players they have in your half? 4.
4.
So you have 8 versus 4. You already up. You already upper hand. For him, even if you win the ball, this is what happens second half. When our strikers have the ball, even if Swaziland win the ball, these 4, when they come approach the midfield, we already Zambia do push to the midfield. It will be 8v8. You have upper hand. This is why the result. You are not gonna score in this situation. You are not gonna score, but also you will not concede. Yeah. So the result, it will be ended 0-0. If you continue like this, the way you are doing, this is the result. This scenario, 0-0. Because look at the number. 8 yellow, 8 orange. That's Zambia. 4 red. That's Swaziland. You already control the situation in your half when you are off the ball. Then the 4 red coming with the ball. Okay. In fact, they will not attack with 4. They will remain with 1 like this. He can create. He gives security to be 3v2. It means 3 players plus 4. That's 7. You already have 8. So definitely you win the ball in the midfield, but you will not progress to score.
Beyond that.
So maybe
this is the result. This is why the result. It ended 0-0.
0-0 in the.
This is why he was shouting. You know why he was shouting? He wanted them to press like this to score more goals.
Yeah, but
they was relaxed. The player they
fine.
Relaxed.
Just before I let you go, it looks like the creative player, the number 8, will be an important player in Wedson Yerenda's thoughts and tactics. Is because he wants a number 8 who play in a similar way. We saw it against Nigeria, we've seen it against Swaziland, and perhaps that's his philosophy. Almost forming a diamond, or they'll be standing horizontally. Now, when it comes to pressing, defending, and marking against teams that are tactically well organized, there's work to do. Who plays 8?
Cletus is okay. John is okay. We have who else? Rainford. But what I would appeal, if we have to play that diamond shape in front, the the two wing midfielders have to drift inside when we are marking.
And then in transition,
In transition, they
No,
open wide.
he's one of the best coaches. He played diamondship, not in the front. He loves to play diamondship in the midfield. And he's one of the best. He knows how to use this formation. This is why he usually uses two strikers. He doesn't use one striker.
I was asking
the
this
challenge
question.
for number 8, the one who's playing behind the two strikers, when he loses the ball, when the team holds the ball,
is that Kalaba?
is to drop very fast
The
to the
marking,
circle and
yeah.
start marking with the defensive midfield.
Yeah, but is that Kalaba? Is that John Chingando? Is that Cletus Chamachota?
No, if you have this situation with that attacking midfield, he can't mark fast and drop fast in the midfield to mark. You have to find a solution with 7 and 11 to delay that
someone
for
to
the
delay.
opening until 8 drop in the midfield. And this is now it's another job.
That's about it. That's why I was saying maybe if we put if Kalaba can play out wide or Cletus or John out wide and then come to.
You're not answering
support.
the question. The question is who plays 8? Who has the attributes to play box to box? That's the question. You're talking about Kalaba, who's played wide for 10 years. Cletus plays wide. John Chingandu plays wide and comes inside. So what are we saying?
I think maybe if we can just have the belief in these young boys, there's this young whip, very good. For me, yes. I'm telling you.
I like Emmanuel.
I
like Inoki. I like Emmanuel Banda, but
Enoch Mwepu can do he can attack, he can come back and defend.
No,
okay.
You have to look at the speed, the engine, the one in the 7 and the 11, the one in the right and left.
And the left.
How strong these engines to delay and to drop before the 8, because the speed for these 3 players, this is the one that decide if the team is gonna manage to penetrate fast from defense to attack and the attack to defense. That is that speed.
So this is why we had Augustine and Ernest, because they are so fast.
Okay.
They can go, they can come back.
Okay, but they were not dropping as well.
That was the problem again.